All right, what's going on, y'all? Hopefully everyone's having a good day. It's early, about 10:30, no, 10:42, Saturday morning. But I've been meaning to watch this video, but I was gonna wait to do a reaction to it. This is from TheTruthIS, and he's talking about the movie They Live, which is a very deep movie. So we're gonna jump into this video and check it out, see what he's talking about. He has some really good videos. One of my favorite YouTubers as well. But let's jump in it.
Imagine finding a pair of glasses that reveals a reality you were never supposed to see. Through these lenses, you discover Hollywood isn't just entertainment, it's programming. Billboards aren't advertisements, they're coded commands. And the figures running the world, they aren't just selfish politicians, they're an entirely different species using humanity as a resource. While to some that sounds like a description of 2026, it's actually the plot of the 1988 cult classic They Live. John Carpenter didn't just make a sci fi flick, he created a roadmap for how the masses are kept asleep at the wheel. Today, we are decoding the symbols and the warnings this movie tried to give us decades ago. By the end of this video, you will never see the world the same again.
Mm.
The world needs a wake-up call. We're gonna phone it in.
They Live follows the story of a homeless man named Nada, a drifter who arrives in Los Angeles looking for the American dream, but instead, he stumbles into a nightmare. His journey into the truth begins when a mysterious group of hackers hijacks a television broadcast. Their message is chilling. They claim humanity has been turned into cattle and that our reality is being broadcast to us through a signal that must be destroyed at the source.
Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated.
Yeah.
Driven by a need to understand, Nada is eventually led to the heart of the resistance. It's here he receives the most dangerous tool in existence, a pair of specialized sunglasses. The moment he puts them on, the vibrant, colorful world of 1980s consumerism dissolves into a cold, monochrome truth.
Mm.
He realizes that the glossy magazines and neon signs aren't what they seem. Under the surface, the media is embedded with subliminal commands, constant loops of consume, conform, and stay asleep. But the most jarring discovery isn't the message, it's the people. Through the lenses, Nada sees that the success stories of society, the high powered executives and the social elites, aren't human at all. They are ghoulish, extraterrestrial beings hiding behind human mass.
Mm.
The film pulls no punches with its message. The ruling class has made a deal with these entities, trading the freedom of the masses for power and wealth. In this hidden hierarchy, the biggest actors and most influential politicians are merely beings in disguise, maintaining a digital veil over the eyes of the public. Nada's vision becomes clear. He has to wake people up. But Carpenter includes a brutal realization that mirrors our world today. When Nada tries to force others to look through the glasses to see the truth for themselves, he isn't met with a thanks. He's met with violent resistance. The masses refuse to see. They prefer the comfort of the lie over the responsibility of the truth.
Yeah, that's true too. We all have dealt with that when you try to tell someone what the truth is, not what you think, but what you know. And they'll fight you, just like that character is very symbolic of those people. One guy even, I was talking to him about this movie years ago. He's probably about 10, 12 years older than me. He's around 50, I don't know, 50, 55 years old. So, yeah, 15 years older than me or something. But yeah, this dude, I told him about the obey thing, and he was like, he tried to relate that to like obedience in the Bible, like I was like, what are you talking about? First of all, one, we already know saved by faith not by works, but faith alone is dead. So he's the potter, and we're the clay. Then there should be some molding going on. New creature in Christ. All these things y'all know. But he tried to twist that, and it reminded me of that they call good evil and evil good. Because there's people who will fight just like that character, tooth and nail with you about certain things, call you conspiracy theorists, all this stuff. It gets annoying, but you know, like you said in Galatians, I forget which chapter though. Do not be weary of your well doing, even your well doing with words. If they don't want to hear it, they don't want to hear it. Nothing you can do. But at least you told them. You don't have to keep telling them. Let it go.
Often labeling Nada as crazy rather than facing the monochrome reality. The story reaches a fever pitch as Nada joins an underground movement to take down the source of the broadcast. In a final, defiant act of sacrifice, he manages to destroy the signal's transmitter. As the machine falls, the veil lifts. Suddenly, the elites are exposed in mid sentence on live television for exactly what they are. The world finally wakes up, but the cost of that awakening is everything. While most viewers in the 80s dismissed this as a standard sci fi flick, there is a message hidden beneath the surface so powerful that it was almost certainly overlooked. If you think the takeaway is simply that the elite are aliens, you're only seeing the distraction. The film is actually presenting a much deeper, almost spiritual warning. It suggests that the systems of power are guided by dark, unseen forces that view the rest of humanity as a separate, lower species. In
Yeah.
this world, the elites don't see themselves as part of the human collective. They believe they are higher beings whose role is to harvest human energy and resources to fuel their own reality. This is where the movie shifts from sci fi into the realm of the metaphysical. Consider the glasses. Most people interpret them as a high tech gadget used to detect extraterrestrials. But if you look closer, the glasses serve as a spiritual lens, a third eye of sorts. They aren't just revealing aliens, they are revealing the spiritual darkness operating through chosen vessels in positions of influence. The
Yeah.
movie is telling us that our modern society, with all its noise and neon, is merely a veil, a massive, coordinated distraction designed to prevent the soul from ever perceiving the true nature of its environment. Think about the accuracy of this metaphor today. The faces chosen to dominate your screen in film, television, sports, and music serve a specific function. They are the keepers of the dream. These industries act as a massive system of redirection, keeping the public's focus on the trivial, while those at the top operate without scrutiny. It is a constant 24/7 conditioning loop. Every billboard and every commercial is a fragment of code designed to keep you in a state of buy, eat, consume. This is the cycle of the resource.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. And on the money, it says, "This is your God." I just did a review about that. Well, not a review, but a reaction video on my other channel. Because this one guy, he covered the same thing. And he said, John Carpenter said the movie was about capitalists and yuppies. Like the yuppie thing was just being pushed out there. That's why you saw all those songs coming out. Excuse me. It was back in the 80s. And he saw it with the Madonna Material Girl. Um, what Cindy Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. There was a lot of this stuff being pushed just because, to have more fun, more money. More money means more fun. That's how it is. But it is interesting how the glasses worked in this movie because just like they work in real life, not like you put it on so you can see 3D and you can see these special effects. No, you put them on so you can see things in focus and it gets rid of all that. It blocks all the nonsense out. And it's interesting how they put it in black and white because they did that on purpose too in the movie. Not they, but John Carpenter and them. But yeah, it was a very interesting movie though, for real.
As the film bluntly states, we are being treated as cattle. For a tiny minority to maintain total freedom and a king like status, they require a massive, working class to exploit. The hierarchy demands that there be lesser people to serve those with everything. The most haunting
Mm.
lesson of the film, however, happens during the legendary struggle between Nada and his friend Frank. When Nada tries to force Frank to wear the glasses, he isn't met with curiosity. He is met with a brutal physical rejection. Frank doesn't want to see the truth because the moment he does, his comfortable world is shattered. This mirrors our reality with terrifying precision. In
Hmm.
2026, almost everyone can feel that something is fundamentally off with the system. Yet, the vast majority of people choose to ignore the static. They pretend not to see because acknowledging the truth requires a level of responsibility
Yeah,
that most find too heavy to carry. People would
that's real though. Yeah, that's why they do that, because no one can just see all the nonsense and just do nothing. Like, so they try to pick and choose, I feel like, what they're going to try to do something about, but they don't want to acknowledge all of it. So they're just kind of like, I'm not going to go there with it. I'm not going to go that far with it. That's how people seem to be too. It's very interesting because you see all them videos on YouTube where, like, a lot of people doing videos about people been acting strange since, like, especially like over the last 6 years, since 2020. Like, something happened. It was more than, pandemic, all that. It was like that isolation. Now, people were still out and about, but there was still more isolation. And you know how they say the devil's playground. I don't mind the devil's playground. People say that. So I think when you're isolated and you're not doing what you should be doing, because there's a good type of isolation and there's a bad type of isolation. And most people weren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, for real. I know one of the first things I did during that time, and that's not no boasting or nothing. I was like, let me go to Revelation and see, is this about to kick off? That's what I thought. That don't make me better than anyone because I've talked to other people who did the same too. And I had never read a whole chapter, and you shouldn't start there. And now I've gone over the whole thing, start to finish, like 2 times or so, and I think like twice. And then I stopped in the middle of the Old Testament and just started getting into just going to where I felt like I needed to go to, you know. But yeah, it's interesting, man.
rather live in a comfortable lie than face a difficult reality. And as long as a small group of people can provide that comfortable lie, they will always have a population willing to buy into it. They Live isn't just a movie about a man with sunglasses. It's a manual on how difficult the fight for the human mind truly is, especially when the mind doesn't want to be saved. To understand how the masses are kept in this trance, we have to look at the source, the signal. In the movie, the aliens use a massive satellite array to broadcast a frequency that masks their true form and keeps the human brain in a state of low level hypnosis. This is perhaps the most accurate mirror to our current reality in 2026. We are constantly bathed in a digital signal, a non-stop stream of high-frequency data, social media algorithms, and 24-hour news cycles. Just like in the film, this signal isn't just delivering information, it's delivering a frequency. It is designed
Hmm.
to keep the population in a state of perpetual anxiety, distraction, and division. When you are vibrating at the frequency of fear, you lose the ability to perceive the spiritual world around you. You become trapped in the monochrome world where only the material matters.
Yeah.
Then they are the collaborators. This is one of the darkest parts of Carpenter's vision. Not everyone serving the system is a ghoulish being from another realm. Many are humans who have consciously chosen to sell out their own kind. In
Yeah.
the film, we see a character who discovers the truth, but instead of joining the resistance, he asks the elites, "What's in it for me?" He is rewarded with a tuxedo, a fancy watch, and a life of luxury.
We all sell out every day. Might as well be on the winning team.
Look around. This mirrors the gatekeeper class we see today,
Yeah.
academia and high level corporate positions who know the system is designed to exploit, yet they protect it anyway. Why? Because the system has made them comfortable. They have traded their spiritual integrity for material status. The movie shows us that the aliens don't need to control everyone directly. They only need to buy off a small percentage of humans to
Yeah.
act as the middle management of our
Yeah.
prison.
That's what it
These
is.
collaborators are the ones who police the thoughts of others, who ridicule the truth seekers, and who ensure the signal remains uninterrupted. Finally, we have to address the underground resistance. In the movie, the resistance isn't some massive, well funded army. It's a small, ragtag group of people operating out of a church, working in the shadows. They are constantly being hunted. and their headquarters are eventually raided and destroyed. Again, this connects back to this all being a spiritual battle. Think about it. The elite operate out of Hollywood, while the resistance operates out of a church. It's a clear reference to the spiritual battle we're all in. In They Live, the resistance is eventually forced to realize that you cannot fix the system from the inside. You cannot vote the aliens out. You have to destroy the transmitter. You have to cut off the frequency that allows the illusion to exist. The film ends on a bittersweet note because it tells us that the waking up isn't a one time event. It's a total dismantling of
Yeah.
everything you thought you knew. It's the
Yeah.
realization that the celebrities you admire, the leaders you follow, and the products you crave are all a part of a sophisticated harvesting operation. John Carpenter wasn't just giving us a sci fi story, he was showing us the blueprint of a spiritual occupation. He was showing us that the glasses are available to anyone willing to look. But once you put them on, you can never go back to the world of color again. As the credits rolled on They Live in 1988, audiences walked
Hmm.
out of the theater and back into a world of neon signs and
Yeah.
colorful distractions. But for those who truly understood the message, the world never looked the same again. John
Yeah.
Carpenter gave us more than a movie, he gave us a choice. The aliens and the signal may look different in 2026, but the objective remains the same to
There's a reason why, because I've already said, I said already, I've always said that this movie could easily be redone, but you got to ask yourself, why hasn't it been? Because it hasn't. I want to hear a different type of version of. I mean, this exact movie, same type of stuff, just like they did The Running Man and redid that. But same type of premise, just changed it instead of just like this game show like that. It was like the whole, and they're in the confined area. They did the whole world for 30 days. He had to survive. I didn't watch it, but I just heard some reviews about it. But they could easily redo this, but they won't for a reason. And I don't think it's that John Carpenter doesn't want to. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's like, no, I did exactly what I was supposed to do with that movie, and people need to watch that movie. If they see it and they see what it's about, they'll see exactly what's going on. And it's so interesting, that whole black and white thing, because everyone always talks about that gray area. See, that gray area is dangerous, man. You ever heard of, if you've done research on narcissism, they call it gray rocking? That's what I think of when I think of the gray area. The gray area has you thinking weird stuff, like in certain countries, Finland or certain places where you can, lay with animals, if you know what I mean. I think I could say that on here. But you can do that if the animal's not in pain. So see, black and white does something different, right or wrong, right? Where it's wrong to do that, and then the gray area comes in. Well, not necessarily. It's only wrong if the animal's in pain. Other than that, if that's what they want to do, that's they thing. We do that with a lot of things, don't we? Like, generally speaking, maybe not you, maybe not me. Well, not me, not you. If it is you, you need to stop. But drugs in moderation, that's what people say. I was like, that's crazy. Y'all remember that? I used to watch a lot of horror movies. And I still remember Freddy's Dead, where he was talking to that dude from Road Trip, the main character in that movie. And because he played in Freddy's Dead as well. And Johnny Depp's character came on, this is your brain. Crack the eggs, put it in the skillet. And he said, this is your brain on drugs. And it's sizzling, frying the brains. Then Freddy Krueger hits him with the pan. And he's like, looks like a couple eggs in a frying pan to me. And people laughed at that part. But I think they liked that too much, because what he was saying in that was actually true. That part they put in there, that's what it does. So whenever you think moderation with drug use, I mean, moderation is what? Let's moderately fry our brains. That's what we're going to do. I'd rather not do that. I don't have no desire. And I tried cocaine twice back when I was like, once when I was 16, once when I was 20, mushrooms 5 times, pretty much once a year from 18 to 22 years old. And I have no desire to do that again. Even one time we were sitting there on mushrooms. I remember I was about 21 years old. think I was 21. This is back in Portland at Portland State University, and we had tried that. And me and a couple dudes that we ended up being roommates later, but we were sitting there chilling, and and I remember he was like, "Man, this is kind of wild, man." And I said, "Yeah, that's why I call it drugs," And we just started busting up laughing, and they were cracking up. And it was a weird thing to say while we're under the influence of that, but I was like, I still wasn't out of my mind like that. I never let anything control me to the point where I'm gonna just lose it, and that's never happened. I've never blacked out when I used to get drunk and stuff. I never blacked out and was they're like, "Man, you remember what you were doing last night?" No, never happened. Because when I black out, I'm either just sitting there or I pass out. That's what it is. It's pass out, blackout, same thing for me. Like for real. Anyway, back to the video.
Keep the masses in a state of spiritual slumber while their resources and their attention are harvested. The glasses are available to you every single day. They are found in the moments you choose to question the narrative, the moments you look past the celebrity distractions, and the moments you refuse to be conditioned by the frequency of fear. Waking up is the most difficult thing you will ever do because it means losing the comfort of the lie. But as Nada showed us, it's the only way to truly be free. The system relies on your silence and your participation. The moment you stop obeying, the signal loses its power. This movie reminds me so much of 1989's Society. That movie follows the same theme of a society secretly being controlled by entities not of this world. The film reveals what they're truly using humanity for. If you want to see the movie that completely exposes this system, watch this video right now. Also,
Hmm.
if you're interested in videos that go a step further in revealing the truth without the fear of censorship, consider checking out my Patreon. I just released a new video where I reveal my thoughts on everything happening in the world right now. Trust me when I tell you, you don't want to miss that episode. You can find my Patreon in the description. And if you want to support unfiltered content, make sure to like this video and subscribe to join the truth movement. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, so that's the truth is. That's the name of his channel on YouTube. I'd have to run that stuff back to look at it again, see what his Patreon and all that is. But yeah, he's got a good channel. Another one of my favorite YouTubers. Got a lot of them. I subscribe to like over 50 of you guys on here. I'd have to count. It's definitely over 50. I don't got cable. I was like, oh no, YouTube got all that I need. All these people posting all this type of stuff. That's what I need. I canceled cable back in 2021, I think it was. But yeah, man, it's a deep movie though. And when I was talking about that, there was no overly righteousness or I'm better than anyone else. Just nothing was ever able to control me when I was drunk, as far as me blacking out and I'm doing stuff and don't know what I was doing. Because I've, like I said, not better than nobody else. Especially back then, I was off, doing all kinds of stuff. But there was never where I was doing something wild and they're like, "Man, that's what that's what you were doing last night, man. That's crazy." And they're like, no, that never happened. Just never happened. Like the worst things that ever happened when I would black out, and it only happened a few times, but one time was on the highway, and that was scary. I actually could have died that night. Like that was God that kept me. The Lord kept me. Not no Satan God of this world. Oh no, none of that. The Most High God, Yahweh, the Lord Jesus Christ, Yahushua, Yeshua. Yeah, but I remember that too. Blacking out on that because I remember I almost passed out. I want to say blacking out. Like I almost passed out and I woke up and I was driving on the highway in Portland off of the I-5 or I-205. I think 205. Yeah, 205 because it splits in when you're coming down from Washington to Oregon. It splits into I-5 and 205. So I was on 205 heading that way towards I-5. And yeah, I still remember that. Kind of like nodded off, woke up, and I was like, I gotta focus. So I turned the music up a little bit. I think I turned it up a little bit or down a little bit. I can't remember. And next thing I know, just I woke up in my dorm bed for real. That was insane. And when I woke up like in a panic. That because that was wild. Because that's the last thing I remembered. That's kind of a scary story for real, man. The Lord definitely kept me because kept means protected. Some of y'all need to reread that Revelation 3:9 or 3:10. Keep you from the hour means protect you from it. Doesn't mean to take you away. He doesn't have to take you anywhere to protect you. He didn't take Noah anywhere to protect him and those people on the ark and the animals. But he definitely kept me because that was wild. When I woke up in that, I was like, I got up real fast and jumped out of bed. I didn't wake up like, hung over like that. I jumped up like, because I was like, man, I probably died. Like, that was insane. That was wild, dude. That was the last time that ever happened. Phew, man. First and last. Well, that wasn't the first time. First time was in high school. I was driving my friend Cal home from this party at this dude Mike Winnicke's house, and we were driving on coming from like Mustang, no Yukon, not Mustang. Mustang's further out in Oklahoma City. We were coming from Yukon, going to back to Oklahoma City, and it wasn't far. We were just like on the outskirts of Oklahoma City. Like might even still technically be Oklahoma City. I'm not sure. I think they're still in the Yukon school district where we were at. But yeah, I remember I kind of passed out, and Cal's like talking to me. He sees me kind of passing out while I'm driving. He's like, "Come on, wake up!" And I was like, it was crazy, dude. And I remember, and I was like, man, calm down. I got it. And I went back to driving, blacked out. I was like 17 or 18 when that happened. I think I was 18 then. And next thing I know, I'm dropping him off at his house. I don't remember none of that drive. None of that driving him home. None of that. I'm just dropping him off. That was wild. And I remember I told him the next day at school because when I dropped him off, he got out. He's like, I was like, all right, man, I'll see you. And he said, all right, man, I'll see you. And I was driving. I said, dude, I do not remember none of that drive getting him here. And I'm pulling up perfectly right there. And he wasn't freaking out or nothing. He was just like, there was nothing. And next day at school, I said, man, did I drive pretty good last night? Because I try to approach it a certain way. I was like, man, yeah, did I drive pretty good last night? He said, yeah, you did all right. He said, you almost passed out at first, but you were fine after that. I said, I'm gonna be honest, because after that, I don't remember nothing. He said, are you for real? I said, yeah, dude, I was out of there. Like that, like for real. He said he was like almost freaked out about that, but then he was like, well, we did get home safe. That was weird. I said, yeah. But yeah, man, that stuff, whew, stuff is wild. Not to, deteriorate from the video. Because it is a good video, man. Like, it's got a lot going on in it. This dude does a lot of these type of videos too. I need to watch that Under the Silver Lake or something like that. I need to watch that movie. Y'all should check out his channel for sure. But yeah, we gotta stay focused in these times, man. Because what's interesting too about this part right here, that whole illusion thing, is I know he was talking about the phones and technology and stuff as a distraction, like that's the illusion, which is a good point, and I don't disagree with that. But we also got to think that distraction was coming before the phone, though. The phone's just more of a distraction, a place to more easily get distracted, I guess you'd say. Because that was happening like when we had AOL dial up when I was growing up. I mean, movies were a distraction, but there was real stuff in movies too, you know, and there still is, but it's just a lot different now. And everything they do is like, it's almost like they're really just showing you what's going on and putting it in entertainment. And then, so people like us who watch it, we watch it, we're like, no, there's something to that. Like, that ain't just entertainment. Like, there's something to that. And other people watch it like, oh, it's just a movie. That's where they get you. Just like he said in that movie, The Faculty. He said he said that's exactly where they're getting us. He said everyone gets caught up in the science part, which has nothing to do with it. They're getting at us with the fiction, sci-fi, science fiction. That's actually a good clip too. I could probably clip it on here. And then she was saying to him, I might put that scene on here too when I load this up. But she said to him, so they've been doing all these ET Men in Black movies so that if something actually happened, people wouldn't believe it. And he was like, yeah. And that's a good point too that he made in that movie.
To the fiction. So, aliens have just been setting us up over the years, creating this happy little make-believe existence with their ET and their Men in Black movies, just so that nobody would believe it if it really happened. I think so. Yeah.
That's actually a really good point. That's why when they put stuff in there and that fight thing, like between him and Keith David, I forget where that was at on here. There we go. Like this part right here when he was fighting him. Yeah. Yeah, like this part right here was very interesting because people do act just like that when you try to tell them. They look serious just like that. They'll start ridiculing you, all this stuff, man. And you try to tell them certain things and they don't want to believe it. It's just like I was thinking about that whole Stargate thing. Some of you may be aware or not, I don't know. But did you ever hear about that 5 billion? It was either 5 billion or 500 million. I would imagine it was 500 billion, I think, actually. So $500 billion for a Stargate project. And I started thinking, why would you call it Stargate? And I started thinking about that movie or that show back in the day, Stargate SG-1. I was never into that show, but what was that show all about? A portal so they could go into a dimension and go into different dimensions or come back through all this stuff. And I started thinking maybe that's what this whole thing's really about. This collider being in the ground and all this stuff out in, was it Sweden or Switzerland or something? Like maybe this is all for a reason. There's something more going on because that doesn't make sense to have that collider in the ground over there. Like it's underneath the ground, however many feet, and it's called a collider. I know a collider means impact. Like that's like two things collide. Remember that song "You and I Collide"? Um, yeah, I remember that. Do 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 do. I remember that. Oh no, that's a different one. That's a different one. Maybe that is the same one. I don't know. Old stuff from the '90s, early 2000s, maybe. But yeah, what is that collider for? It does make you think about stuff, but most people just, oh no. It's like, well, I'm not gonna sit here and rack my brain about it. I can't even talk. I'm not gonna rack my brain about it. But I'm also not going to be nonchalant like them and just go in trying to drink my life away or like trying to escape reality. That's why I have a hard time being around people who do like intoxicating substances. I'll just say it like that. So not just alcohol but other things. Cuz like they're trying to numb themselves or seeking pleasures. I think that was talked about in the Bible too. Talking about in the end they'll be seeking pleasures and worshipers of themselves, disrespectful to parents or something like that, disobedient to parents or something like that. But then you see how CPS is too, like trying to stop parents from disciplining their kids. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot going on. I don't want to rant too much on this video, but just a lot. And it's all making sense too, all the stuff he was talking about. Even if you watch that interview, Damon Wayans talked about it. You go to Shannon Sharp's club, Shay Shay, and he was talking to him about something, and he's like, "Yeah, the world's getting kind of crazy." I can't remember it word for word, so I'm paraphrasing. But Damon Wayans was like, "Well, yeah, you just go to that. I think he said Second Thessalonians. He referenced that. I forget which verses he referenced. I don't know if it was like chapter two, I forget. I'd have to look that up, but he referenced that part. Like in the end, they'd be like this. That he referenced that right on Club Shay Shay, which was interesting for Damon Wayans to say because Marlon got a transgender kid, just like Dwayne Wade and some others over there too. I think the people who did Child's Play. I forget the guy's name who was behind Child's Play, but Chucky stuff, Charles Lee Ray. But he has he's the one who did that, like with the seed of Chucky. That's whenever the series kind of just went in a whole different way. I used to watch all that, and I saw it going that way, and I still watched. I ain't gonna sit here and lie and try to sound like, oh no, I just turned it off. No, I kept watching. I liked that, the punchlines, all that did. I'm not gonna lie. But then it just started getting more and more into that with that Glenn and Glenda thing and all that, and even this one guy who does movie reviews on YouTube. Even he said he's talked to people who are part of LGBTQ and all that, and they said they didn't understand that character. But that was the point. It wasn't about you understanding the character. The point was to normalize all that behavior. So they're trying to think, oh, what's the point of this character? And they can't get it because I'm gonna be honest, reprobated minds. Unfortunately, that may be what it is. You know, so the character in Seed of Chucky wasn't based off like anything really. It was just trying to normalize like the gender confusion thing. And then they teach it to your kids in first grade and all this. And there's a lot going on, man. A lot of stuff. I didn't want to talk too long in this video, but I pretty much already did. But yeah, man, it's a lot of stuff going on. It's getting pretty wild nowadays. There's so many things I could talk about. Whew. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. So may the Lord continue to bless all of you and myself as well, and bless us the way we need to be blessed, not the way we want to be. So I'm going to catch y'all later. Make sure you check out TheTruthIS. That's his channel. And till next time.